If I was going to trade, I needed to be really intentional. That energy resulted in thousands and thousands of dollars of payouts. Now, this last winter, I got like 4 payouts in like a 4-month period. Yeah, about that. And that was not the same. That was a pretty big cut, honestly, winter to winter. And the difference is not that I learned less in the last year of trading, because I actually refined my system more and I'm a stronger trader. The difference was the extenuating circumstances, right? I was experiencing more hesitation and potentially, depending on the day, more overtrading, more emotional trading.
Hey, welcome back. Here at the Market Mamas podcast, I cover a wide range of topics from the intricacies of day trading to mindset mastery and psychological growth, with the goal of the conversations being next level growth for all of us. My name is Becky, and I'm a US-based futures day trader from the Pacific Northwest. My trading experience includes trading stocks, options, crypto, and futures, with both trading a personal account as well as with prop funding companies. Over time, I found that I most enjoy the fast-paced world of intraday futures trading, so that is my primary day trading focus now. Thank you for joining me on the Market Mamas podcast today.
Hey guys, welcome back to Market Mamas. So for me, it is towards the end of March when I'm recording this, and I just have had, honestly, like a hell of a winter. There's not like a great way to like dance around it, but it's been like a season for me. Let me explain for a minute. So this winter, I seriously broke rhythm with everything, with my life and my energy and all the things that I was building towards. Like, okay, so I've been a nurse, right? I've been a nurse for 20 years and I've been a trader for 5 years, and it's really been getting better. I've been profitable for the last over 2.5 years of my trading, and I've been able to extract some profits for the market, which has been amazing. And it's been increasingly, it's getting more steady for me, right? More stable, more organized. My trade plan has come into more and more clear focus as the months travel on. I get more and more people in my life that really support me in my journey. And then people that really were not supportive have kind of faded away over the time. It's fine tuning. But this winter has been something else. I started doing some training psychology coaching at the company, Blue Sky Trading Company, and that's been honestly great. Like, I really enjoy my time over there. It's such a good community. It's a strong prop firm, like really consistent rules, good people, good energy. So that's been good. And it's also added more to my life, right? More to my schedule, more hours in my day that I have to be in different places and show up in different ways and prepare in different ways. And so that's been more, but I was growing into it. And then in early December, my sister died. And that was unexpected. It was startling. It was sad. There was a period of grieving that really kind of rocked me. And it happened in the early December. So virus season and holiday season is what happened next. So I'm trying to grieve while continuing to work on this new pursuit that I started in the fall with trading coaching, continuing Market Mamas, continuing to trade. But then I was trying to grieve. And then I got super sick with a cold. So then I was trying to do everything while sick. And you know, when you have a cold, like you're not sleeping well, you have sick NyQuil, and then that causes like a fog. All of that cold medicine causes kind of a brain fog. It's the holiday season. I have 3 children. And so Christmas is pandemonium in my house. And so December was like, it was a lot. The winter continued. Like, I also got sick again, and my immune system just really kind of tanked through all of that. And I think the viruses, for one, are just kind of legit this year. They've been challenging. They've been harder to kick. And so like I had 3 different big colds this winter, one of which I'm still kicking right now for March, which was super fun. But then working through the grieving and the service for my sister was a lot to, experience and prepare for and move beyond afterwards. And so that had a lot of carryover in the moment. And then kind of to move through those experiences, there really is like phases of grief. And I went through all of them. But then as I'm kind of progressing through that, my best friend, Sarah, got a cancer diagnosis. And she is, my age, a mom of children that are very, very active in school and sports and needing all the things that you need from a mom when you're a kid that age. So her being, one of my most important people in my life, in my circle as a support person. My time was again split, which is fine, but like it was, it's just been a lot. It's been like I had to, show up in different ways for a person that is different, usually doesn't have the same like situational requirements, which is totally not any of our choices, right? And so then I think just between all of those things, like continuing to want to do more and more work with like all the pursuits that I have with Blue Sky and Market Mamas and my own trading and my own personal goals with growth and expansion while still raising my kids. And then when life happens, right? When When my sister died, I can't plan for that. When my best friend gets cancer, you can't plan for that. When you've repeated like nasty viruses that work through your home because you've got a preschooler, a grade schooler, and a middle schooler all exposed to different virus pools. I kept expecting my trading performance to stay the same because I was a good trader, because I've been a trader for years, because I have been a profitable trader, because I have a strong edge. But life was different in this phase for me, and that I'm working through and looking very forward to this spring. Life was just different, and it was hard to maintain a steady equity curve in my trading because I underestimated in each of those moments that I wasn't as in control as I normally am. And not that you can control the market, but there's a lot of aspects of our trading that we can't control, right? Our routine, our preparation, our steadiness through it, our ability to not trade when we're not ideal. And so all of those things hit me a lot harder than I wish they would have this winter. And I, for a long time, downplayed them and tried to act as if it was okay and not give it enough credit for what was going on with me, and give myself the grace and space to work through it without having to have the same trading expectations on top of all of that. Because trading is something that can flux, right? The market is open 5 days a week for futures. And that doesn't mean that we have to trade all 5 of them, or 6, honestly, because Sunday is a session. So that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. I want to talk to you about if you ever had an experience like me, are potentially in that now, wanting to be a successful trader, building an edge, growing your system, but then life happens and it kind of punches you in the face and it takes you down and it knocks you out and it pulls your attention to where you have to do other things. And then you have to figure out what that looks like and what you can manage and how you can deal with it. Because, I mean, there's this whole idea of like, if you're a good trader, then you should be a good trader and you should be steady and be able to flux with market conditions. And the great traders that we see out there on social media, they just are always handling it, always killing it, always posting these great trades. Well, I want to have some real talk around that because that's just not the reality. Okay. Like trading, it feels like, and it sounds like, and in contextually, it is a technical skill, right? But in my experience and in the experience of every trader that is real with me, it's actually deeply biological and psychological. Okay. Like this is a real thing that our bodies, our abilities, our fog, our brain fog potential, our emotions, they're a massive impact to our trading edge, to our trading system, to our trading ability, to our capabilities, not just in trading, but in life. Like if you're not sleeping because you're up coughing, or you couldn't take NyQuil because you're on call for the hospital, and so then you sleep like terrible. When you are sleep deprived for whatever reason, you're up mourning someone or figuring out how you're going to fit everything in your schedule and you can't sleep, what have you. When you're sleep deprived, there is decision-making latency. There is the issue with your brain does not fire as fast as when it is well rested, well fed, well nourished, well hydrated. The neurons in your body just don't act as quick. You will be slower with making critical decisions and processing the data that you need to. And, as a day trader, I'm a futures day trader, and I make decisions second to second sometimes when I'm in a trade or figuring out how to manage it at certain situations. And so I have to be in that situation as a futures day trader. You have to be wicked fast with processing and making the right choices and making sure you're considering all of the data that's within your system that you factor in when you're making a trade. And so if there is latency with that could be impacted from poor nutrition and or poor sleep, is a big thing that deserves some respect. Now, another part of that is, what if it's stress, right? If it's stress related to being super distracted from a loss, or super distracted trying to figure out your schedule and juggling how you're going to manage everything, and if you're not showing up in the best way to everything that you need to show up to, or if you're on a trading loss streak, those things cause real stress in the body, and stress causes a massive like hormone cortisol rush to your system that it's really hard to operate at your ideal performance. And in that situation, you're not going to be able to judge your risk as well. You're going to have some distortion with making sure you're always following a specific risk management plan. You will flux more often. You will feel like the gray areas are normal and that this is okay. And like you can trade emotionally, you can authorize emotional trading more rapidly when you're living in this heightened emotional state, because you're just choosing to trade when you're emotional. If that's the situation, if you're having the heavy stress and you decide you still want to try to be the same trader that you always are, you're entering into a high performance situation such as day trading with added stress and added emotions. And so that's going to distort your ability to really follow a strong, attentive, intentional risk management system. So that's a risk. With grief, oh my gosh, that can hit you like a freight train with every little thing. I was finding that when it was really acute through December, January, and even early February too, it was still very much in the forefront of my mind a lot, and I would try to like push through a lot of times and be functional. And so but that would also sometimes that randomly just catch my attention and fragment what I could focus on badly. And it would happen without really warning. Like a little thing would pull my mind and I would go off down a rabbit hole in my brain, and that attention fragmentation and distraction would really compromise my system. I trade better when I trade systematically. I trade better when I trade my trade system, right? And so if I am splitting my attention, it's a lot harder to follow a specific system like that and always remember exactly how you intend to be. Especially, I mean, it sounds like I'm a trader for 5 years. That's a lot of time, but I haven't been a good trader for 5 years. Let's be real. Like the first couple of years, I didn't know what I didn't know, and I was still kind of a mess on the charts. And so I've only been fine tuning being a better trader in recent years. And so I still need to really pay attention and be focused and realize always have my trading system in the forefront of my mind, not other distractions that are a big deal. And then also, like, if you're sick like me, if you had a winter where, God dang, these viruses just took you out, that's going to make you less able to use your brain fast as well. They're going to have reduced cognitive ability and stamina and ability to focus long term, have like a longer training session that you could have done before, and then continue to do more advanced work after that for whatever side projects you have or other work. The stamina to push through that when you're ill is just less. And if you're not giving yourself the space to have rest and potentially naps if you didn't sleep, or like periods of just kind of zoning out, honestly, when you're ill, like that's kind of a week to watch some movies. And I didn't always give myself that time, but I think that is ideal to recognize the fact that your stamina is down if you're ill. So all this to say that your P&L, my P&L, our P&L does not reflect our strategy necessarily. More so, it reacts your whole body and your nervous system, which means your ability to lock in and maintain a steady nervous system so that you are not giving in to emotions or fight or flight or anxiety, but instead you're managing your system. Now, the P&L, you guys know what I'm saying, right? It reflects your nervous system even more than strategy, I would argue. So what did this look like for me? Okay, so I would say that let's talk about last winter and then this most previous winter. So a winter over a year ago, how was I trading then? I made some money then, I'm not going to lie. Like I had some really good seasons where I was taking payouts from different locations for, every week I was expecting and requesting and receiving a payout from a different account here and there consistently. And that was beautiful. And I think that what that was like there was one or two extenuating factors that I was having to constantly like settle down. I mean, life is life, right? There's always going to be something. And there was things last year that were going on that were a little bit extra and heavy. And that's when I took on Market Mamas, for example, solo. And so that was a big season for me of a pivot there too. But it wasn't as massive as a death and cancer and like a massive schedule change. It was a schedule change. It was a big influx of work, but it was different. And I was able to, I think in that moment, really be attentive to the fact that there was this a shift and that I was accepting it and I was going in eyes wide open and I was doing X, Y, Z. And so I think in that period, I was hyper vigilant on making sure I was always doing my pre-market routine and my morning trade hypothesis and keeping up with my trading system, and that consistency and that specific intention on following my system and being my most focused self, recognizing things were a little different and I had a little extra work to do. And so if I was going to trade, I needed to be really intentional. That energy resulted in thousands and thousands of dollars of payouts. Now, this last winter, I got like, I don't know, maybe 4 payouts in like a 4-month period. Yeah, about that. And that was not the same, right? That was a pretty big cut, honestly, winter to winter. And the difference is not that I learned less in the last year of trading, because I actually refined my system more and I'm a stronger trader.
Just a quick pause before we get into this. Trading can be intense, and staying mindful during your session matters so much. That's why I created and am sharing a free 3-part audio experience that's helped me deeply. 1 for starting your day with calm intention, 1 to stay centered while you trade, and 1 to wind down with grace when it's time to stop. These tracks are yours. Just click the link in the description.
The difference was the extenuating circumstances, right? I was experiencing more hesitation and potentially, depending on the day, more overtrading, more emotional trading if I was allowing myself to come into my office and open my trading system when I was distracted or emotional and or sleep deprived, which honestly, through this period was like over half the days, if I'm telling it like it is. I was less consistent with my rule following, and I was coming back in when I thought I was stable, kind of in the back of my mind, knowing I wasn't as stable as I wish I should be. But like also in that moment, those are bigger things. And I wasn't sure, when I was going to feel more settled in my heart, but I still want to be a trader and I still want to show up. And so I was trying to push through basically and be more stoic and more just like, if I show up, then I can execute my strategy. But I wasn't giving enough credence to the bigger picture strain that I was experiencing. So I had more mental fuzziness and more second guessing myself. And I was letting losers have too much room, and I was cutting winners short because I was second guessing myself. And that is not really the trader that I am, but there were trading sessions where that was the trader that I was showing up as. And so I think nothing was wrong with my strategy necessarily. I mean, my strategy, it's always learning and growing and evolving, but I have a pretty strong edge that I'm comfortable trading. But my capacity to execute it consistently was the issue. That was where I was not consistent. That's where I was showing up in all kinds of emotional state and then hoping to get the same outcomes. And you can hope for an outcome all day long, but if you're not prepared and really ready to lock in and do your best, as I frequently wasn't, then the P&L outcome is what it is. Like, it's going to come out differently at the end of the day. And that is what I went through. And the whole point of this is like, if you're having those extenuating circumstances, like, it's a real thing, and it does impact your outcomes. And it doesn't mean that you aren't still a really good trader underneath, but there's something going on, right? There's a cognitive situation that is a factor that, as much as we want to shush it, it doesn't always stay shushed. I think that stress absolutely does consume bandwidth, right? If you are carrying stress and there's a lot of factors that are going on in your mind, and at times you choose to just shut them out and do your best in the situation. If it's too heavy, if it's too much, if there's too much back there and it pulls heavily on you and it can consume your bandwidth, I guess. It can distract you at the wrong time. You can have that latency, that hesitation with making the right decisions without consciously choosing it, but subconsciously, right? Your brain has a finite decision energy skill capability. Like, we can't just constantly be excellent at everything. Something's got to give. Like, that's extremely rare for someone to just kill it at everything all the time, no matter what's going on externally. That's not a common situation. And that's not something that we should honestly expect, right? I think that emotional stress runs in the background constantly for all of us, right? We always have things going on. Nobody has a perfect relationship and perfectly behaved children at all times who go to bed on time and wake up like rays of sunshine and kill it with their homework every day. Like, no one has a perfect situation. There's always emotional stress in the background constantly. But if it gets extra for certain things and you think that you're handling it, sometimes it's still there. And you need to, I guess, check in with yourself really frequently to figure out how much it's actually taxing you, to know if that is something that you need to give more credence to and handle before you try and handle your trading, right? I wasn't distracted. I was just really occupied by things that actually mattered. And I didn't give myself enough credit for that in the moment. But I want to raise this topic today to say it out loud, both for myself and for anyone else who needs to hear it, that if these big things are pulling at you and they're pulling at your attention and your capability to execute everything you want to do at a time, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're just ridiculously distracted. It means that you're thinking about things that matter and that your mind is processing. And maybe you just need a slight break from the things that you can't focus on to deal with what is pulling all that energy, to grieve or to help someone through something that person matters to you a lot, such as my best friend. And so then the energy should be in helping that person through their situation. That way, when that settles, you can be fully focused on what other work you want to do, such as trading. I mean, performance doesn't happen in a vacuum. Like, it's not a perfect situation that is totally isolated, but instead, like, it's a whole big picture, and we have to be our best selves in order to execute our best selves. And pretending that that isn't the truth causes damage. Like, that is what can break you. That's what can break a winning streak. That's what can put you in a drawdown in your trading. That's what can make it harder, because if you're going through all of this and you're also experiencing trading losses, well, I tell you from experience, it doesn't help the emotions. Like, trading my normal size when I was having these experiences was not great. I did downsize through a lot of that. I went from minis to micros, and I flexed with that a little bit week to week, which probably I shouldn't have. But when I tried to trade in my optimal performance and I would take hits and then potentially I would trade emotionally after the fact, like that was a situation, and it didn't need to be like that I didn't deserve to have the extra like financial hit that I did when I couldn't get the payouts and I was having to reset a little bit. It made everything a little bit harder, and that can cause some damage. That can cause insult to injury kind of deal. And so I think people that love me and knew me and were on the inside of this tried desperately to ask me to slow down and to take that time for myself. And sometimes I did, and it helped a lot. And sometimes I ignored them and I pushed through when I shouldn't have. And I just want to be the person, if you don't have anyone telling you this, that it's okay to take breaks and focus on something else that could really matter in the moment in your life, and that trading will be there. The markets will always be there. The potential is always there. You always can find mentors to speak to and to shore up your system and get back in the game if you need to, once a bigger situation maybe settles down. And so I want us to just kind of pull the self-blame that we can get stuck in out of that crap. Like, it's not worth it. We need to recalibrate and instead think about, like, we're humans. I am human. I am a physical being with emotions and intelligence and a mental capacity that is only so big, like we need to use it as a period of insight about life and trading and what it looks like to be a professional trader long term, and like use this as an example for me of like a way that I can grow as a trader. And if something like this comes up again, heaven forbid, it's not for a very long time. Instead, if that does happen again, I can take off a week or two at a time to just not even worry about my P&L and what trades I might be missing and what's going on in my trading communities, but instead like be with the people I need to be with, even if that's just myself, and let myself feel and experience what I'm in. That way I can get back to my trading when I am at my strongest. And then I can hold myself to my peak performance standards when I can show up in that way. But if I am in survival mode and because of something else that's going on in my life, if I'm in a season of managing a lot, I don't want to hold myself to the same standards that I might when I am showing up as my peak performer, when I'm showing up at my best self, well-rested, calm, peaceful mind, ability to focus on my trading system, create the best pre-market hypothesis, and then focus throughout my entire trading session. That should expect a high rate of return. But if I am in a survival mode season and I'm super distracted and emotional, sleep deprived, the results are not going to be the same. And I never again want to hold myself to the same expectations. The goal needs to be stability through that time and managing real life and holistic situations and the most important people in my situation, and not trying to optimize everything, like not trying to optimize my trading. And if I need to show up in a certain way for my trading coaching at Blue Sky or Market Mamas, like I can get by with doing my best when I am in those moments and I'm showing up. And then on the backside of that, making sure I'm prioritizing family and rest and my personal heart and mind, like I am worth that too. And I think that sometimes I, as a person, will push at all of my goals and metrics too much without giving myself a little bit of grace to feel that. Okay, so James Clear, right? You guys know Atomic Habits. So he has this saying, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Now, this is so applicable to this season for me, right? My system was struggling. And the systems that you're trying to execute on, they just have to match the season that you're in. And for me, I was in a really hard season where I was distracted and sleep deprived and emotional and ill and foggy from the illness or the grief or the cold medicine or all of it. And so I was falling to my systems, not my goals. And my systems were struggle busting because my season was a hot mess. And so I think that is literally, an expert in the world of psychology, James Clear, this Atomic Habits book. Case in point, right? Like my system was in a state. And so I just want us to think about how, if this were to happen again, if this is happening to you, if you're having a hard season, let's talk about what we can do. Lower the baseline expectations, right? Like settle down a little bit with the fact that you should not in those moments be expected to show up as a 10 everywhere. If you're going to trade because you're not sick at the time and you are getting more sleep and you are more stable and you do think that you can trade at your ideal optimal state, ease back into it. Trade smaller size, fewer trades per day, micros instead of minis. Focus on the best execution that you can to see if you're trading at your ideal and not so much the P&L. And that is really helpful for a lot of reasons when you're coming back from something or you're in the middle of something you're working through. And then also, I think downsize your expectations in terms of trades. You may not catch all the trades. Really try and focus on what does my absolute A+ setup look like. And that's the one I want to prioritize. I want to only put on leverage if I really see a great setup that is super low risk, high probability setup. And that will, again, protect my mental capital because I'm not trying to trade 5-6 times a day and hopefully I can catch the A+ setup. Instead, I'm saying I'm going to trade 0 times a day unless I get an A+ setup. And only if I get an A+ setup, I will trade it with half size because I'm recognizing this whole world around me that is not ideal. And so that type of a choice is an action that I can take through this period that will save me, but still allow me to be a trader, right? It's a choice to trade in that way. And then also when I'm a big proponent of journaling and keeping track of personal metrics. And so part of that, when you're having a lot of external things going on, is to track your mental capacity and your emotional state just as much as your performance. So are you sleeping? Are you stressed? Can you focus? Are you on medicine because you're coughing so badly? Consider all of those things and rate that and grade that and track that capacity, and then adjust your trading system and your time at the charts accordingly. If you really did not sit because you're up coughing all night long, don't show up at the charts at 6 a.m. because you're not even in any sort of ability to focus, right? And I think part of that is, moving on from there is to give yourself permission to not trade. Some days are just by design and intention and choice and maturity and your trading system. Those are not a day to trade. And that's not that you are failing as a trader. That's that you are maturely respecting your personal conditions and saying, I give myself permission to not trade this day, this week, because of all these external factors that I don't think I can show up as ideal as I should. And I want to treat my trading as a business and only execute when I am optimal. I think part of that is you have to have that identity of, I am a professional trader, and so I don't need to push it all the time. My outcomes are a result of all of these factors that I'm putting into play, not just one specific trading session. We are not defined by our trade outcomes. If you are trading and you're in a little bit of a drawdown and there's a lot of factors going on, we need to normalize the fact that we can trade smaller and recognize those conditions and have that not be an ego hit, an identity hit. It doesn't mean that you're not still a great trader that you were before these situations happened. More so that there's extenuating things going on and you need to back it down a little bit. And that is a professional choice. The whole point of this is to be a professional trader through everything in life. And sometimes that means you trade 5 days a week and you are ideal, optimized, rested, trading your system to the best of your ability within the market conditions you are in, and you are getting some good wins. And sometimes the season won't allow it. Sometimes you need to back off on your trading a little bit so you can maintain your capital and your accounts. And when you are at your optimal, then you build. You rest and you build when you're ready, and you rest and you build when you're ready. Waxing and waning like that through life is realistic, and expecting to always be at a 10 in capabilities is less realistic. For me, the season didn't just affect my trading. It revealed and kind of reminded me how much trading is actually about being human. That trading is a human activity for me, and that I need to factor in all aspects of that. I think I need to recognize that I need to only show up for that high performance sport when I am in my high performance mode. I think that you can't do high performance work with a depleted system and still expect precision. It's not fair. It's not realistic. It's not smart. If you're a trader, you are smart. It's a lot to figure out and manage and balance and work through. And so to expect high performance work when you are depleted, we're smarter than that, right? I'm smarter than that. I need to recognize that. It's not really about smart. Sometimes it's about emotional choices to push through. And I love trading. I genuinely love trading. And so sometimes I would want to get lost in the world of trading so that I could forget about all this extenuating things that were causing me stress and fear and anxiety and sadness. But that's trading emotionally. That's recognizing that I want to fill an emotional need with a happy thing. But this happy thing is also hard work. Like it requires a lot of focus. So that wasn't fair. That wasn't fair of me to put trading in that role. I could have leaned more heavily into exercise or walking with friends or lunch dates with friends. Those other things also bring me happiness that didn't have financial risk on the line. You know what I mean? So these are choices that can make us better. If you need to treat your emotions with something that pulls you out of your head, trading is not the thing. And at times I attempted to put trading in that spot for me. I think subconsciously, but it did not work. So I want to treat myself with grace. And grace isn't lowering the bar, but instead it's recognizing reality. It's recognizing that I deserve to have some grace because of all these things, and that is a smart, intentional choice. And that's how I want to show up as a trader. That's how I want to show up for myself and my goals and my aspirations and my family and my P&L and my account and my future as a trader. And this is me. I am Becky, host of Market Mamas, psychology coach at Blue Sky Trading, and still working through some of my own shit. That's just what's up, like that's who I am and that's where I'm at. And that's why I have Market Mamas, because I want to be able to be authentic with you guys and say that this is the reality sometimes. And this was the reality for me this winter, and I'm working through it. I'm progressing forward, and I have everything still ahead of me, and I'm excited for the future. And I have learned some lessons through this period that I'm going to respect and give myself grace for, should I need to again. And as I progress through this, I'm going to continue to keep my eyes on that, because I know that I'm a strong trader and I want to execute my capital effectively when I am at that peak performance. I wish that for you as well. Any questions, comments, please leave me a comment, like, and subscribe. It really helps the channel, and I like the feedback. It helps. So hit me up, let me know how you are, and I wish you the very best in your trading. Take care, everyone.